Good afternoon. Here we are in Ostlers Plantation. It's a lovely little wood near Woodhall Spa in the middle of Lincolnshire. It's actually the doggy's 18th and 5th birthdays today. Mr. Willis being 18, Foxy being 5. Of course, they're official birthdays, we don't know the exact birthdays. Got Foxy's off his passport, and we knew Willis was born sometime in October, so it seemed a good idea to put them together. But anyway, yes, there's old Willis, 18 years young. Still as stupid as when he was a puppy, I think. He hasn't improved. He's only really just starting to slow down a little bit as well. But anyway, got the camera, some autumn colours coming out. Not a huge amount yet, but we're getting there, and it tends to go quickly when it does, so there'll be a few photos of orange and browny foliage. Bracken's dying back. There's also lots of very nice mushrooms because it's been quite wet lately. I can see a few through there, so I'll just have a wander along and photograph them. And I tend to photograph mushrooms with a long lens so that you get shallow depth of field and nice bokeh, nice blurred background. It does involve wandering off into the thick stuff occasionally like this. Oh, some massive fly agarics over here. Anyway, we shall see what we shall see. And get these, I'll show you these so you can see them. Big one down there. Foxy's just investigating some over there. It's hard work doing this. Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to have fun photographing these for a few minutes. Catch you later. Okay, right, one thing you've got to be careful of if you're using a long lens in a situation like this, in a forest where it's pretty dark anyway, especially at this time of year, it's very overcast. Using a long lens so it doesn't let so much light through anyway. Got to be really careful of your shutter speeds. And I'm using it mainly to photograph mushrooms and also to photograph the dogs, get close-ups of them running along. But yeah, so shutter speeds, you've got to be careful, because if the dogs are moving fast, it's going to be very, very easy to get blurred images. And also, unless you can hold the camera steady, your mushrooms might get blurred as well. So that old rule of thumb that I was talking about, that 200mm lens, you need a 200th of a second. Well, I've been struggling even at 1600 ISO today to get a shutter speed of over 200th of a second. And even at that sort of high, relatively high ISO, I've been shooting at about 100, 125th, so you've got to be really careful to keep your hand steady. And it is perfectly possible if you brace yourself, but it definitely is something to, to keep an eye on. If you're using a wide-angled lens, 100th of a second, 125th of a second, not a problem at all to hold in your hand steady. But with a long lens, like a 200mm or bigger, you've got to be careful, because the slightest movement will blur everything. So just something to bear in mind if you are going to use a long lens for this sort of photography in these conditions. But it is overcast, but it's a beautiful day. Rich colours, it's warm, it's dry. Hopefully we'll get some nice shots. Dogs want to go that way, but I want to go this way. Come on, boys. They'll be along. wide angle lens now. Move back to photographing general scenery. Saw this wonderful little path down through the trees. Very photogenic. So the wide angle lens has come back on. Willis decided he was going down the main track. Didn't fancy this. So Jack's had to go back and get him. That's the delights of bringing dogs on a photo walk. They don't always think on the same wavelength. He's following a smell. I'm following photographic opportunities. Bye. Fascinating things about Ostlers Plantation is that part of it is built on an old airfield, Woodhall Spa airfield. So you get these areas of concrete which were, I don't know, perimeter roads, taxiways, that sort of thing. But there's also quite a few derelict buildings in the wood, and I think they're meant to have been the bomb store or the bomb dump, because there was a case a couple of years ago where some guys, don't think it was in Ostlers, it might have been in a nearby wood just over the road, but they found some mustard gas canisters and got in a lot of trouble because they didn't declare them. They stuck them in a shed, I think, and who knows what they were planning, but yeah, a bit daft. So yeah, so there's a few old buildings. I've got some photos of those that you'll see later, and also you get these strange humps in the wood like that, which I think they're usually connected to dispersal pens where they used to put the aircraft. They used to send them off to park them up around the edge of the airfield and spread them out so that an enemy aircraft, because this was a Second World War airfield, couldn't just fly over and blow a load of them up just by machine gunning in a straight line, because that occasionally did happen apparently. My American friends might be embarrassed to know that it happened a lot with American aircraft, and they moved over here and they lined all their shiny aircraft up on the runway, and then one German in his little fighter plane could come over and strafe a whole lot of them in one run. But these little dispersal pens were designed to spread them out. He's here, Jack, no panic. Foxy went off chasing a squirrel. Jack lost him. He always panic a bit in the woods because he chased a deer once and disappeared for half an hour. But anyway, he's calmed down a little bit since those days, but he still thinks he can climb trees and get squirrels. But yeah, here's another of these big concrete areas. Well, not that big. Nature is claiming them slowly from the sides. But yeah, if you come down to Ostlers, especially this time of year, there's lots of mushrooms about. In the summer there's lots and lots of nice wildflowers. It's mixed woodland, so there's deciduous as well as these conifer plantations. And there's the old semi-derelict buildings from the old airfield. So there's lots of interest really. Hopefully we've got some nice photos. Again, like the Derbyshire trip the other week, it's been more of a dog walk than a photographic walk, so they are snapshots rather than professionally composed pieces of art. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.